So the top shot is a really cool card shooting technique by Lernnart Green, and in this video you'll learn all the different variations that you saw in the intro to hopefully make your top shot look nicer than everybody else's, if I can catch it. There we are. If that sounds interesting and you're enjoying what we're doing here on the channel, make sure to subscribe and let's get into the video. Alright, so to begin with, we'll quickly run over the technique of the top shot, and even if you know how to do it, you should be able to take some tips away from what I'm going to be explaining. And I'll do it really quickly because I too want to get into the variations as it's the most fun part. So the thumb and the index finger are just going to pinch the deck in this position here. Normally you start out on mechanics grip and then move your finger around. I find this quite difficult sometimes, so I usually just grab with the thumb and the index finger. 4 fingers are across this side. Your pinky finger is just going to pull down on the top card. Your thumb is on the side, and once you feel it pop off the thumb, simply you're just going to let go of your pinky finger. The card will fall down into your hand. So I like to practice the top shot, or at least I did practice the top shot when I was first learning it. Did this. So you're not really pushing it that far out like that. You're really only peeling it off to begin with, and then when you get a wee bit more ambitious you can start applying more pressure, and that shoots the card out at a more flat angle. So ideally you want the card to turn over face up and spin through the air 1 or 2 times normally. And to make the move much nicer, it's always a good idea to snap that finger, get that finger snapping, and shoot the card out at the same time. Because if you don't do that, it just looks like this. And unless you're doing it as a boomerang card, let's see if I can do one, then there's no point in not snapping your finger. It's almost like a visual production. Snap your finger and the card just flies out. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes on the basic mechanics of popping a card off the deck, as it's pretty self-explanatory after having a few goes. You will need to develop that pinky strength, but there's plenty of other tutorials online that go in much more depth than that on the basic mechanics, but I just want to cover all the fancy variations and the stuff that you guys came for. Again, you can leave a comment if there's anything that you're unsure of and I'll reply to all of them. Alright, so the prerequisite to the first variation is just being able to do a long top shot. Once you're able to get it at a fair distance, and that's just by applying more pressure with that pinky finger, then you'll be able to move on to being able to do it in an arc. Now this is like a boomerang card and it does take a bit of playing around with. I wouldn't try it outside as that would probably be a bad idea. Here's what it looks like, something like that. There's a few different things going on here. First of all is this sort of backwards motion with the hand, and it almost drops as soon as it fires the pinky out. What I mean by this is when we're doing the move, if you didn't drop the hand, it would just go straight. But if you drop the hand and you apply a bit more pressure with the thumb and the pinky finger, it means that the card is able to spin a lot more times in the air. Now obviously I can't catch it on frame all the time, but if we do it straight, you see it's sort of spinning a few more times than usual, and that's by bringing that hand down at the same time that you're pushing the index finger out. Not the index finger, I mean the pinky. So once you push the pinky finger out, you move the hand down in this sort of arc motion. It allows the card to sort of go at that. I'll see if I can get one. There we are. So the card sort of moves out, spins a few times, and then comes back around in this motion here. Normally I catch it around this area. Sometimes I have to bring my hand forward, but it's nothing really to worry about. It will take a lot of trial and error to get this consistently, and I've got it to the point, practicing for this video, in fact, to be able to catch it pretty much every time. I mean, there will be some times that I drop it. Let's see if I can do one more. See if I can catch it in frame. It does take a lot of time and practice, but it's well worth it in my opinion. Alright, so the second variation that pretty much everybody knows about is the instant production of 2 cards. Now to do this, we just have one card face up, second from the top, and the top card turned over face down. Now once we snap our fingers, we do a top shot, just a standard top shot, and that produces both cards. I would usually do it with 2 aces or 2 queens, and it looks really nice when you snap that finger, and it's an instant production of 2 cards. Now, what I would say about this is angle the pack towards the spectator so that they can see the back of the playing cards. Is you're not going to do it like this and then produce the 2 cards. You'd much rather have it so it looks like all the cards are face down. You can maybe spread and then snap your fingers and do the top shot like that, as it just looks much more visual than doing it, you know, vertically like that. The third variation of the top shot is one of my favourites, and that's just allowing the card to fly into the air and then land back onto the pack. Because I'm looking through the monitor, it's pretty difficult to catch the card, but essentially what you're doing is similar to the boomerang card, where it does a few more spins than usual, but this time you're tilting your wrist more to the left, so you're tilting it this way, and then instead of doing a light push for the normal top shot, you're really going to launch it with that pinky finger, so up into the air, and then sort of try and catch it on the face down pack. And if you want to get good at this, I would suggest doing it over a bed or something, just sitting down and firing cards up and down. The good thing about the top shot is you can do it with an older deck or a new deck, and it doesn't really matter the condition that it's in. Moving on to number 4, the classic sandwich top shot, which is pretty easy to do as well. So take 2 cards, hold them between your thumb and your index and middle finger. You open them up like a Pac-Man, like this, just allowing the moisture for the card to stick on the thumb. And then do your top shot in your other hand and time it, so once it's open, we're going to shoot the card in and then eat our food. Eat the food. Almost forgot to mention, there is a way of doing the top shot that you can catch it between your thumb and your middle finger, something like that. And the bonus of doing it like this is you can go straight into flicker or any other 1 card twirl that you know of. So that's just allowing the card to flick and catching it in this grip here, and then you can go straight into flicker, which looks pretty good in a sequence such as this. And then you can get the other card to do bullet in the hand and then backdrop to finish. Make sure to hit the like button, as it encourages me to make more videos like this. Alright, so here's another idea where you can produce 4 of a kind in quick succession. So to do this, I just have the 4 aces sitting on top, face down, and then snap your fingers, do the top shot to get your first ace or whatever you're using. You could do a pirouette if you want it, and then move your hand in this position back down, shoot the next one. You need to lift your thumb up and back down to catch it, and then you shoot the next one, and then you shoot the next one after that. Now this has to be done really quickly, so all in one move it should look like this, that, catch, 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 catch. So it's almost as if the first ace fires across, and then you display the ace, and then the other 3 just come in quick succession after that. This is an idea by Takumi Takahashi, who's got a DVD on the study of Lernnart Green, and I think he was one of his pupils, so I would definitely check out his work if you have the chance. The nature of the top shot means that it looks like the card's actually coming from the centre instead of the top. Now there's a wee convincer we can do to make this look nicer, and it's just by riffling the back end, almost as if you're doing a pinky count. So you're just riffling about half the cards down with your pinky. Make sure that the audience can see the gap, and then once you do that, they see the gap, and as soon as you snap your fingers, you're just going to do a normal top shot, and it looks like the cards jump from the middle. Now this can be excellent for routines where, you know, you might control a card to the top, and then instead of just doing the top shot, you could talk about how the card is coming from the middle, trying to catch the card on the back of the hand. As you saw in the introduction, it is possible, but it was not my first attempt, and I will be honest about that. To try and catch it landing flat on the back of your palm is really difficult, and then to get it to flip over and catch it like that is even harder as well. There's way too many factors that you just don't have control over, which means that it's going to be pretty much impossible, or you might get it 1 out of 52. But if you go to your spectator and try and produce a card like this, you might have a hard time. I know Dynamo can flick it off his shoe, which looks really impressive, but I just haven't practiced it enough. The other variations are definitely usable in live performances, and there's a lot more difficult moves that may go wrong that I try and attempt. I'd honestly say that the classic pass is easier to mess up than a simple boomerang card. By the way, if you want my tips on the classic pass, make sure to watch the video after this one, but I do have a few more variations that you don't want to miss. What you saw there wasn't exactly a boomerang card, it was more the way that Eric Jones and a few other magicians like to do their top shot. It's just by tilting your hand in, almost as if you're trying to do the one where you catch the card back on the pack. So snap your fingers, tilt your hand in a little bit, in fact, yeah, this way, cocking your wrist back, and then do the top shot so that the back faces the audience when it spins in the air. It's still going to be face up, but when you do this move, the card's going to be face down as it flies through the air, which in my opinion doesn't really look as good as a boomerang card. But if you want to use that variation, make sure to do so, as it still does look pretty awesome. Why bother dealing cards like a normal person when you could be doing a top shot? This is a pretty nice way of dealing cards. Snap your fingers, cause the card to fly into the air, catch it like this, and you can just deal off the entire pack if you get good at it, so you can really pick up the pace. Obviously when you get down to about half the cards, it becomes virtually impossible sometimes, but just to show you, it still does work even when you're at a few cards, albeit it's definitely putting a lot of strain on your fingers. My tip is probably to go through when you're practicing the top shot. I know I talked about the drill of doing this, but also if you try and deal through an entire pack, as you've seen, I've successfully managed to deal an entire pack. That's 2 cards. Can we deal with 2? Yes, we can. That's an entire pack dealt with the top shot. You get a box with every deck of playing cards, so why not use your box for the top shot? So to begin with, to get it to trap underneath the box, well, first I'll show you one of these. It disappears. No, but that's completely unrelated. Using the knee, all we need to do is fire at the card and trap it with the box. Something like that. I've been trying to come up with a way of shooting the card, from one hand and catching it in the other, but unfortunately I've not been very successful at that, and that's why you don't have a variation on it. Obviously if you can do the Cardini change, the top shot will be really easy for you. Before we finish, I want to leave you with some half-baked ideas that you might be able to use that are similar to the top shot. So instead of doing your normal top shot, you could, after you've done your normal top shot, you could then take the card, do one of these, and then produce it over here. And that's almost as if you could explain about how the top shot works, and then you could say that I can do it really fast. Watch, all we do is put the card on top of the pack. It flies over like this. Now that's just one wee idea that you could use. You could do that with a laser deal as well. So you could laser deal and then produce over here. That's another idea that you could use. Doing the real top shot, placing it back, and then producing it again. It's this idea of just the card almost teleporting. So the first time they can see it go, and then the second time you get that teleportation basically. The presentation would go like this if you were using a coin, for example. So snap the fingers, you'll see as the coin jumps all the way up into the other hand. Now you could probably see the coin travel in mid-air, but I'll do this a little bit faster this time. Watch the coin as it travels from here over to here. And then it's the same idea with the cards. You do your top shot, the card goes across, and then the next time it's almost instant. I'm not going to tell you how to do the top shot colour change, as you can work that out on your own. If you could find any use out of doing a top shot into Gambler's Cop as well, that would be a good idea, as you can misdirect your audience and you have all the time in the world to do your move. Thank you for watching until the end and learning this awesome card move. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and share this video with anyone that's interested in magic. Major thanks goes out to Dea and the team for helping us reach 1,000 subscribers. My name's Ross Donald and I'm a magician all the way from Scotland, so it's great to have this support. Check out the Sleight of Hand playlists on the channel, and all you need is one of these. I'll upload a video every Saturday, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys on the next one.